Listen to me. Allen Iverson is the most influential player in NBA history. I ain't capping. And this isn't a clickbait title or a draw you in type of video. It's a fact. From where he came from to the adversity of fighting the system, and of course his deadly crossovers, AI has left a mark on basketball and NBA culture forever. The question is, how? How did he dominate? How did he leave his mark? How did he create the modern NBA culture and system we all know and love? What is the answer to the answer? Cue it up. Nowadays, fans look at NBA players as larger-than-life superstars with exciting lifestyles and fashionable fits. Well, mostly fashionable.
Look at this dude.
But it was actually never like that. In fact, at a point in time, NBA players were literally the most boring-looking athletes on the planet. I mean, look at this. These homies look like they go into a board meeting. Literally everything in the NBA changed when Allen Iverson arrived. Where everyone else was dressing like depressed businessmen or my granddaddy at church, AI brought in flavor. Tats, chains, street clothes, and of course, his infamous cornrows. In other words, pure swag. And that was all off the court. On the court, the revolution of headbands and shooting sleeves, the answer infused a true hip-hop mentality into the NBA. And in just a few years of being in the league, everyone wanted to be cool like AI.
Guys wear the do-rag and hats, the jerseys and the sleeve and getting the cornrows, and then everybody flooding themselves with tattoos.
You see, Allen Iverson did to NBA culture what Steph Curry did to shooting. And even though the commissioner at the time, David Stern, became, well, more stern and cracked down with the infamous dress code in 2005, AI never budged. Because of his stubbornness, he ended up with a list of fines longer than the Washington Wizards' list of losses.
Fighting to this day. To this day.
But that persistence is exactly what led to his sense of style becoming the norm in basketball culture to this day. Now, yes, it is true, AI wouldn't have been the answer if he wasn't insanely good. I mean, if a player like Anthony Bennett decided to start a fashion trend, it would have ended faster than his already short basketball career. But AI was built different, literally. He was always the smallest guy on the court at 5'10", and unlike other small guards that use their size to slip through the cracks and escape confrontation, AI faced everyone head on. He played aggressively and regularly took on the biggest guys on the court and won the matchup most of the time. Even the GOAT couldn't escape the answer. You see, the phrases small but mighty, heart over height, don't even begin to do justice for him. The dude wasn't just good, he was better than everyone else. Third most scoring titles in NBA history, sixth most 40-point games in NBA history, seventh all-time in points per game, and that's just his scoring. He is the shortest player to ever win the MVP award, and his insane skill had a forever-lasting impact on the game. And yes, I can make a whole video on stats, highlights, and trying to convince you about AI and his greatness, but what really counts and what really matters isn't what he accomplished, but who he became. AI was the ultimate underdog. Born in Hampton, Virginia, he had no dad or father figure ever present in his life, and he grew up very poor, with just his mom. It's been documented that this brother would literally walk through knee-deep sewage on the daily to get to school. Due to gang wars and territories being fought over in his neighborhood, he witnessed the death of nearly 10 of his closest friends, and that was all before turning 18. This kid's been through it, man. He started to find sports, like many of us, as his escape, perhaps his way out. In high school, he wanted to be in the NFL, but his mom begged him to focus on basketball, and thank the Lord for that. During his late teens, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. And due to what many believe a simple racist allegation, wrongly accused of assault and sentenced to 5 years in jail. As this was going on, there was a whirlwind of political and racial divide across the scope of America because this one-of-a-kind, headed for the league type of kid reportedly had multiple sources saying that AI did nothing wrong, but was literally accused simply because he was black. The good news is he was released from jail by the governor of Virginia and was told that he could only hoop if he ended up getting his high school diploma. Throughout this time, Allen Iverson got his nickname, The Answer. He was the answer to conforming to what at the time was the family-friendly image of basketball in the NBA. He ended up being able to hoop and entered the league in '96, and the man made himself known. He didn't put on a mask or change himself for any coach, GM, or organization. He lived authentic to who he was and where he came from. A kid growing up with gang wars all around him and finding hoop and hip-hop as his happy place. He brought something to the NBA. Some call it the it factor. Swag, personality. We'll call it unapologetic authenticity. Remember those horrid NBA suits from earlier? AI said forget that. He dressed more like Biggie, 50, and Tupac, more than a suit and tie picture-perfect NBA look. Even how he played, he had an in-your-face personality, backing down from nobody. Even the man's idol MJ claimed that AI had no respect for the game. Yes, Allen Iverson has always been at a disadvantage physically and socioeconomically, but despite any of that, not only did he overcome the challenges, he thrived and got even better. He was such a tough hooper that Kobe gave AI props, saying, "We all should be fortunate that Allen Iverson wasn't 6'5". Because on the court, he was a highlight machine. He never hesitated to drive into the paint or absorb any contact from guys twice as big as him. AI was a menace. Perhaps he was playing for his boys from high school, for his mama, for his dad not ever being present. Whatever his motivation, we can relate to AI. To his pain, to feeling like we got a target on our back, to feeling like it's us against the world. But it's because of his upbringing and the cards he was dealt in life that it produced grit. And that grit, on and off the court, made him one of the most respected players ever. No player has ever fought against the system and won as much as AI did. If you look at the league now, what do you see? Beauty, expression, passion? Without Allen Iverson, perhaps you wouldn't automatically play some Kendrick, Snoop, or Dre when you pull up to the park to hoop. Perhaps you wouldn't see the expression of clothing that we do nowadays. Chains, tats, new braids every week, the lavish lifestyle. Perhaps basketball would be totally different. I'm talking player options, the Players Association, freedom to be who you want to be and leave the mark you want to leave without having to conform to the man or any system telling you what to do. We thank you, AI, for what basketball means to us, how we can be ourselves, and how we can embrace who we were made to be. I'm gonna say it again, y'all. Allen Iverson is the most influential player in NBA history.